Production funding for Making It Up North is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
How do you get the best out of a project, a podcast, or anything worthwhile? Well, often the answer is creative collaboration. But how do you make it work? Let's find out. What's old is new again in Ely. Tanner Ott, this has got a lot to do with you.
Well, we've been working on a handful of historic buildings in Ely. This one behind us is the James Drug. It was built in 1887. It was the James Drug business for over 100 years. That's what the town knows it by, and we still call it the James Drug building. It was covered with log siding a couple years ago when we purchased it, and that was the first thing we did, was taking the logs off the building. And then we went to put insulation in, new heating system, storefront renovations based off old photos, and trying to find tenants to occupy them. And in summary, that's kind of our model. Buy a building, fix it up to historic standards, and rent it out.
I got to ask the big why. You know, what are your goals when you look at a historic building? Why invest in that?
There's a few things I would say. One of the things is historic buildings, we do have a passion for that. We have a passion for seeing the changes and seeing people using the spaces when they're done. I think it's one of the most rewarding parts is just having the grand opening of a business, and having tons of people outside, and like the relighting of the theater. The first day Northern Grounds was open and you couldn't even walk around. It's just fun to see the changes happen, and new businesses opening, and the economic side of it too. So.
And when you do a project like this, do you do it for the tenant? Do you do it, how far do you bring a building when you are imagining its new use?
Well, in the beginning, we start to get to know the building by taking off the layers, whether it was paneling or carpets, or just figuring out what was this building originally like. And sometimes that's gone, but sometimes you'll get lucky and something's hiding behind one of the layers. So we'll get the walls ready for paint, we'll get the heating done, watertight with the roof and windows, and sometimes if there's an old floor, we'll refinish the floor, but that's basically what we do.
What's up? What's going on? I think we're gonna paint today.
8th graders in Mrs. Valento's art class at Lincoln Park Middle School and art students at the College of St. Scholastica practice the fine art of collaboration.
This is our last day together here at the building, so glad you guys could be here to help out.
The design draws on ideas from the kids and Thunder's signature style to create a distinctive mural for the school.
So this mural is an image that is concepted by the work of students who are asked to hand in drawings based on their feelings of growing up in Duluth, growing up in Lincoln Park.
The whole class did a couple of cool drawings as a group, and then we handed him in, and he said he would put a couple of our things.
It kind of looks like a sturgeon. My job was to take all the drawings and turn them into one cohesive mural image that could be projected onto this canvas here, and then the students would sit and work on it. You know, a lot of this stuff here will need outlining. So if you feel like it, I would just have you go along like this right here, maybe down this edge. One of the things that I like about this kind of work is that it sort of reminds me of comic book style. Yeah, it makes everything pop. It looks super clean.
I've been visiting the Lincoln Park Middle School since the beginning stages of planning out this mural, so I got to see the concept design when Jonathan Thunder brought in the design he'd made from all of the kids' sketches. And
Maybe I'll mix you enough for that skateboarder too.
it was cool to see all the kids get excited about seeing their own designs put in the mural and then, you know, blocking it in on the panels and painting. It's been interesting seeing it transform.
It's more like everyone's art because really isn't one individual's.
That's looking good. I don't think you need me to draw that in for you.
I mean, collaboration, it requires a different way of making things in that you have to have, some of it's a little bit of a division of labor, but there's also a lot of trust that's required. The biggest learning experiences for everyone, myself included, is how to allow people to work on it, you know, especially if you're you have an idea in your mind of what the product is going to be, and then, you know, things change as multiple people work on it.
What if I have you come over here to this panel, and if you can kind of like get in here and maybe just carry that line that you made there through here and here. In the concepting, I integrated my style with their style. That was part of my job as the designer, is to sort of take what they put together and then kind of bring it a little bit into my lens. So that's where you'll see some, like this gal will have 3 bunny ears and then an antler, which is a theme that I'm working with this year on multiple projects. So you're welcome to put more stars on there if you want, but also use that as a guide. They followed along. They followed along as we kind of evolved the concept in there. You know, they still feel like they have ownership over it.
Let's keep doing this until we think it looks right.
I think it was a pretty fun process. I learned a few painting techniques and what it's like to have to work together with other people instead of just doing your own artwork.
You know, you're learning to work with people, you're learning how to communicate effectively, you're learning how to teach, you're learning how to learn from other people at the same time.
Kind of fascinating to see other people work on the thing and then see it after a couple of weeks or something.
There are a lot more effective ways of doing things that you don't realize until you're around someone else working on it. And so, you know, we're all learning at the same time.
I was one of the first people to work on this, and it was just a neutral blue with some outline. And then now that I see it with the flat color, it's getting better with all the shapes and stuff coming together.
I think it's really cool to see how you start off at the beginning and like a lot of people not knowing as much, and then like including me because I have no idea what I'm doing, but then you get towards what you at the end and you see how everyone kind of like touched that and touched this and how it's all cohesive in one big really cool painting.
I like the lighthouse. I like a lot of it. I don't know.
And the Space Explorer represents the adventure, you know, that will take place after these young people leave Lincoln Park Middle School, and they will go out into the world, they'll go out into the universe and do great things, and they'll always have this beacon of light showing them the way home, where they came from, because they will always have come from here.
What do you think it's going to be like to see it on the wall at school?
I think it's going to be pretty cool because people will be looking at it when it's in its finished product, and I can be like, wow, I helped make that.
Tell me the story about this building. Where are we here?
So this is now Northern Grounds. It was A lot of people around Ely know it as the VFW building, where they had their bar on the main level and a social space upstairs where they had their events and meetings. And even before that, it was the Yugoslav National Home. We think this building was built somewhere in the 19-teens. A cool history. It's one of the busiest corners in Ely. It is on the main street. The people used to come off the train down the road, down Central, and walk up to here, and this was probably one of their first stops.
We were marveling at the tin ceiling, and especially around the entryway.
Yeah, this was here all along. There was a lot of holes in it, but if you take down a piece, you can send it to a company that makes molds. So we took down a piece of the crown molding and a piece of the tiles in the middle, and we were able to get replicated pieces. And when we painted it, it's hard to, you can't really tell if what's the old and what's the new.
We talked a little bit about the response to the aesthetics when people come in, and what kind of response do you see from people when they walk into a place like this?
It is a place that you would maybe is more typical to see something like in Minneapolis or St. Paul with the exposed ductwork and the big windows and stuff, but it's really fun. One of the most rewarding things, I think I mentioned it to you earlier, was when you see people appreciating the work, and someone comes in and looks around at the ceiling and the walls and comments to the barista that, wow, what a cool coffee shop.
What's it like to have a hand in that?
You know, it is fun to be a part of the team that's working on all this stuff. This building was awarded an impact award from the Minnesota Preservation Alliance this past year. So that's kind of a testament to all of the people that play a hand in the renovation, starting with the designers and ending with the painters and everything. So it's a good. It's fun to work with the people. That's the best part, is getting one done and moving on to the next one. So
I can't wait to see what comes next. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Nurse, another scalpel.
But I've already given you 8 scalpels.
I keep dropping them, damn it. My hand's there.
No!
He's going into transcendental shock.
Damn it, doctor, do something.
I'm trying.
But you're not. We're just yelling at each other.
Breathe, damn it. Breathe!
I'm trying, but you take my breath away.
So we're here at the Underground for Take It With You live radio theater from Duluth, Minnesota. And we're performing our season 5 opener, which is really exciting.
Charlie Cordova is not happy about this, I can tell you that. If you lose another patient of mine, there will be consequences.
Wait, you've been in here the whole time? And you refer to yourself in the third person? Gross.
Charlie Cordova gets what he wants, and he wants money.
Sometimes it's a solo thing, sometimes it's a collaborative thing.
Sort of morphed into more of this SNL, or like a Saturday Night Live, where you have your head writer and then you have people that are editing and helping out with story.
Blake will reach out when he has a script that's almost done, and he'll say, take a look at this, or on that Sunday night before our rehearsals, we will sit down and we will read the script out loud and we'll edit. And I'm kind of his editing partner in crime.
She's just been a wonderful sounding board, especially for me, of being able to go through ideas.
And so me and Blake and Mary usually will sit down with the script and say, we can cut this, we should add this.
I mean, you can read a script, and then once you hear it, it becomes a completely different show.
We finish it on Sunday, we rehearse on Monday, and then perform on Tuesday.
Double down, dance off. That's not what I meant, but that could work too.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking we actually like make it seem like we're ending the third time. So you do the double down, dance off, double it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Double down, dance Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
The music comes together differently, I would say, every show. It kind of depends on what the theme is and where we're coming from. This particular one was Blake giving me some ideas, and then Blake writing songs and me writing songs. A lot of times we'll just pass things back and forth. Sometimes we get lyrics. He and I tend to write most of the music, but then a lot of times we'll bring in unfinished ideas that get finished stuff by everybody else here.
Well, Dr. Sparkle, what do you have for me today?
Well, Oracle 12.5 is showing amazing progress. Just listen to the recording from this morning.
Recording? Oh, that's right. Because he can only explain what's going to happen in the near future through the medium of song.
Precisely.
That makes sense.
It's science.
Wake up! Have you heard the news? The future is coming and it's coming for you. Gotta jump ahead before you fall behind. Futuristic party time now.
Matt's just amazing. He is a godsend, and I don't know what we would do without him. So, I mean, there have been times where it's like, oh, Matt, what do you think? Can you do something that's kind of, vaguely in this style, and it's about dolphins? And he's like, yeah, sure. And we'll have a song done in like half an hour and send it back to me, and it's always amazing.
Get yourself together, cause there's no stopping the rhyme. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like where Blake lacks, Matt will pick up, and vice versa, sort of where Matt will be like, what about this? And Blake will kind of come in, and so it's really cool to see the music come alive.
I'll see you past and present, and no doubt when the seconds make a minute, then an hour, then a day.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's a lot of fun, to have something that's all up here end up being out there. It's great. It's a great feeling.
Now she's gone, I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world.
You have Matt, who is an incredible musician. You have Blake, who has this whole world of Take It With You in his brain. I'm a writer. There's many different people in the cast that add their writing to the scripts, depending on the episode. Mary is such an actor and cares so much about the actual performance in front of the audience. Nick, our sound designer, he's all about the podcast. So it's the whole show is built off of the collaboration.
Days they have gone by. Why should you beg me only to say goodbye?
I think that we all like to do the show is that we have a great time doing it together, and that's where that collaboration piece comes in, is that there's no ego anywhere in the room, and so it's really fun to just get together and do it and play around like kids. It's great.
I'm sitting on top of the
Yeah, so this show is the 20th year of Homegrown, obviously, and the show is mainly about 20 influential people who have been involved at the beginning all the way up until now of Homegrown. And so what we did is we curated artists to depict them as chickens, which is the mascot of Homegrown. So very whimsical, really lighthearted, and just trying to have fun with this just because, Homegrown Week is a week of having fun, going out, supporting music and art. So that's what the show's about.
I think this reflects a lot of what Homegrown is, which is a lot of other people uplifting and helping other people to produce a final project.
Prove as a space is about community and using art to create community, and so that sense of community is really reflected in our collective structure as well.
Here's the third hand.
I think this is amazing. I mean, I've been part of Homegrown for 3 years now, and as a musician, not part of the art part. And so being able to be part of Prove and see all of these other amazing artists that aren't musicians come together to create something so beautiful is just spectacular to me.
I love the show. I love how different all of the pieces are, and yet they have so much personality. Personalities of both the artists and of the portraits themselves, the subjects.
So this is Chris Monroe's illustration of Scott Lund, Starfire. We're celebrating his birthday for Homegrown, and Scott and Chris go back since day one, so this is her rendition of him. He's really big into quilting, so she made this little cute image of the iconic chicken with him on his quilt going to bed.
Previous to coming here, I didn't know what it took to take part in the art world, to put up a show. And so beyond just handing in your work as an artist, there's so much behind the scenes work that goes on. There's so much collaboration going on.
We're not trying to be a premier art gallery. We want to be a gallery that's inclusive to everybody, no matter what walk of life or where they are on their artistic path or career.
It's a playground and we get to decide our own rules in here instead of whatever culture or history or adults like to tell folks what art is or what isn't.
We want to be a launching off point specifically for the Duluth Ports for students who are getting out of undergraduate or graduate, or people who don't have formal education that want an opportunity to show their work.
I think anytime we've really had things that are hand-drawn in the space has kind of just been like my absurd idea of making the walls more of a playground than they are a serious white wall, institution, gallery, or creative space.
Well, we know all these people that are part of Homegrown, and we know all these artists in town. We want to bring a little bit more visual arts into the music week of Homegrown, so we thought it would work perfectly that way.
So we have the input of the homegrown artists, the musicians. We have the artists who created the portraits. And then the way that we install the work and curate the work is through artistic efforts as well, because flow's on the wall.
Our brains work better when we're all working together. One person can come up with an idea, but it takes multiple brains to push that idea further and to make it the best idea it possibly can.
Opening night, just being quiet in the background, I just love seeing this place full and everybody interacting with the art, with each other, and just being in the space. That's so gratifying for me. I will continue to be a volunteer forever if those nights can continue to happen.
So we are in a very cool piece of one of your projects. Tell us where we are today.
We call this the Salerno building. It's right next to the historic State Theater. And our plan is we've connected both the buildings together, and they're gonna support each other with concessions and a smaller second screening room to support the old movie theater, and maybe a food component, offices, meeting rooms, just a lot of activity to make it a cultural hub for the town.
How do you see your work contributing to the community?
Well, I think Ely, first of all, has a lot of the ingredients that make it one of the best small towns. It's got a thriving main street with cool shops and restaurants that small towns this size just don't have. It's got a walkable community. The house is just a couple blocks off. If you live here, it's easy to walk to the grocery stores and going out to eat, and it's got just a sense of place, like when you're in Ely, you're in northern Minnesota.
When it comes to building a good collaboration, what are your tips?
Well, I think number one, the community is someone that you want to engage in the process. If the community didn't want a theater, we probably wouldn't be working on it, but I think there's been a lot of support for it We've had a relighting event where hundreds of people came out and lined the block, and the marquee was turned on for the first time in a long time. So just working with the community and the engineers and designers, the consultants and sound and lighting engineers, good carpenters. I'd say those are the main stakeholders in a project like this.
There's a lot of moving parts. And when you see this, what kind of impact, what does the future hold here?
Before it was a one-screen movie house, but now with the idea of being 2 screens opens up the potential to generate more concessions revenue, and also the idea to set it up multi-purpose so you can do weddings, you can do small events, live theater. Not only could you maybe get food right here in the cafe, but you have Rockwood, you have Insula, and the steakhouse within a few steps. So lots of good choices to go out for a dinner and a night, and I think there's a big demand just pent up. So when it opens, I think there'll be a lot of people coming out of the woodwork to enjoy the space.
Well, thank you for giving us a tour, and thank you for making a difference in Ely. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
I'll see